Welcome back to the channel, Soap fans. Today we are diving into the most explosive, jaw-dropping Windermere showdown of the entire year, featuring a legendary return, a pitch-black shootout, and a cliffhanger that changes everything. Hello and welcome back to our channel, your favorite spot for all the hottest Port Charles tea. Grab a snack because we have to talk about this. I am screaming. I literally cannot even process what my eyes just witnessed on my screen tonight. I mean, I am sitting here typing this at 2 in the morning because my adrenaline is so high, I could probably run a marathon. I can't believe they did that. And by that, I mean they actually gave us the classic, undisputed, leather jacket wearing Stone Cold Jason rescue mission we have been begging for since this entire hostage nightmare started. You guys know I have been watching since 2015, and this is without a doubt the absolute best thing they have done with Jason's character in years. I am half celebrating and half complaining because my nerves are completely shot, but I need to get this out of my system with people who actually get it. Can we talk about this? Because my mind is blown. React first, explain later, right? So, Jason is out. He is free. Well, free is a strong word, but he's out of WSB custody. I knew it. I knew it. There was absolutely no way Jason was going to just sit in some undisclosed black site facility while Jocelyn Jax was in mortal danger. But how did he know? Did Spinelli get a message to him? Did he just feel a disturbance in the Port Charles force because Carly's daughter was in trouble? I mean, it doesn't even matter because Jason escaping the WSB is the most Jason thing ever. Remember when they tried holding him back in the day? Yeah, didn't work then either. The WSB is basically a glorified mall security force when it comes to holding Jason. He realized Jocelyn was in real, actual danger, and he just broke out. Like it was nothing. I am obsessed. I mean, let's really think about this. The WSB had him locked down because he took the fall for Ross Cullum's shooting to protect Rocco Falconeri. Jason gave up everything, his freedom, his chance to be with Danny, his whole life just to protect Dante and Lulu's kid. And the WSB thought they could just hold him indefinitely? Have they learned nothing from the Faison years? Have they forgotten who they are dealing with? Jack Brennan is probably sitting in his bed at Turning Woods, faking his locked-in syndrome, completely unaware that the most lethal asset in Port Charles just walked right out of federal custody. I would love to see Brennan's face when he gets the news. It's going to be absolutely priceless. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, back to the point. Let's set the scene at Windermere, because the cinematography tonight was absolutely insane. We have Ross Cullum, who, by the way, is climbing the ranks of my most hated villains ever down in the sub-basement. He is getting ready to move Jocelyn and Liesl Obrecht to a secret location. And you can just feel the sheer terror in the air. Jocelyn has been so brave, using those makeshift weapons Anna Devane left behind, trying to stall the Cold Fusion project, being an absolute warrior. But even warriors get scared. Cullum is terrifying. He is rushing them, barking orders, and you can see the desperation in Jocelyn's eyes because she knows if they get moved from Spoon Island, Carly might never find her. The stakes were literally life or death. And then the lights flicker. I mean, it is such a classic soap opera trope, but it works. The sub-basement goes pitch black. Cullum's goons are looking around confused. And then we see him. The ghost of Port Charles. Jason freaking Morgan. He doesn't say a word. He just materializes out of the shadows like a literal phantom. The way the director framed Steve Burton in that dim, flickering emergency light give them an Emmy right now. Jason is back, and he is on a mission. He silently infiltrates the room just as Cullum is about to drag Jocelyn out by her arm. So then the shootout happens. In the dark. Can we please talk about the choreography of this scene? Because it felt like an action movie. It wasn't just some cheesy soap opera scuffle. It was a tense, heart-pounding, high-stakes gunfight. Jason is using the shadows, taking down Cullum's goons one by one. You hear the suppressed shots. You see the muzzle flashes lighting up the dark basement. And you see Jason moving with that terrifying, clinical precision he has always had. He isn't hesitating. He is protecting his family. I was literally on the edge of my seat biting my nails. He drops the guards like they are nothing and shoots the lock off the cell. The sheer mechanics of the shootout were incredible. The way the camera panned over Jocelyn's terrified face as the first goon hit the floor. The sound design was so crisp you could hear the heavy thud of the bodies and the clatter of weapons hitting the concrete floor of the Windermere sub-basement. He didn't just shoot the lock off the cell, he practically ripped the door off its hinges with his sheer presence. The lighting was so moody, casting these long, dramatic shadows across Jason's leather jacket. It felt like a comic book come to life. But the absolute best part of the entire episode? Jocelyn's face. Oh my gosh, Eden McCoy acted her heart out in this scene. When the smoke clears for a second and the emergency lights catch Jason's face, Jocelyn just freezes. She looks at him, and you can see a million emotions crossing her face at once. Disbelief, relief, shock, love. She whispers, "Uncle Jason." I choked up. I am not even ashamed to admit it. I know some people are loving the mob drama, but personally, the family dynamics are why I watch this show. Jason has always been Jocelyn's protector. He has always been the guy who steps in when the world is falling apart. Seeing him appear like a guardian angel when she thought she was going to disappear forever? Pure television magic. Jocelyn has been through so much trauma lately. Being kidnapped by Cullum, watching him dump a drugged Liesel onto the floor like a piece of trash, dealing with Pascal's constant taunting. She was holding it together, but barely. When she saw Jason, it was like years of childhood memories came flooding back. This is the man who has protected her mother since before she was even born. The man who is practically invincible in her eyes. Her delivery of Uncle Jason wasn't just a line, it was a desperate gasp of salvation. It made all the agonizing pacing of the last few weeks completely worth it. And we have to talk about Liesel Obrecht in this moment too. Because let's not forget, Liesel just found out from Cassius that her actual son Nathan is dead and cremated. She's completely shattered, drugged, and traumatized. And now she is watching Jason, a man she has a very complicated history with, blast his way into her cell. Kathleen Gotti's facial expressions in the background were everything. She looked like she didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified, which is the exact correct reaction to Jason kicking down your door. But Jason doesn't even blink at her. His eyes are entirely locked on Jocelyn. He just grabs her arm and says, "We have to go. Now." But of course, because this is General Hospital, they couldn't just let them walk out the front door. They couldn't just give us a clean rescue and a happy reunion at Carly's house. Nope. Just as Jason, Jocelyn, and Liesel are about to make a break for the exit, the heavy metal door swings open, and standing there blocking the only way out is none other than Jen Sidwell. I screamed at my television. I swear my neighbors probably think I am being murdered. Jen Sidwell. The man who just survived a sting operation. The man who got uncuffed by Cassius and escaped Dante and Joe Fitzpatrick. The man who is arguably the most dangerous, ruthless enemy in Port Charles right now. He is just standing there, blocking the exit, looking completely unbothered, with a weapon drawn. I mean, the absolute nerve of this guy. Carlo Rota is playing this villain so perfectly that I genuinely hate his guts, but I love watching him. Let's really analyze Jen Sidwell's positioning here. Sidwell is not some low-level mob enforcer. He is a global threat. He just survived a massive sting operation, orchestrated by Sonny Corinthos, Laura Collins, and Lucas Jones. Lucas literally took 2 bullets to the chest from this guy. If Lucas hadn't been wearing a vest, he'd be dead. So we know Sidwell does not hesitate to pull the trigger. He is standing in that doorway with absolute cold, calculated malice. He probably realizes that if he takes out Jason, he instantly becomes the undisputed king of the Port Charles underworld. He eliminates Sonny's greatest weapon in one fell swoop. The tension in that staring contest between Jason's icy glare and Sidwell's arrogant smirk was thick enough to cut with a knife. So now we have the ultimate standoff. Jason versus Jen Sidwell. And this is where the episode leaves us hanging, and I am furious, but also obsessed. Jason has to make a brutal, split-second decision. He is standing between Sidwell and Jocelyn. Does he sacrifice himself? Does he literally throw his body in front of Jocelyn to act as a human shield so she can run back into the tunnels? Or does he raise his weapon and engage in a direct, point-blank firefight with Sidwell, risking Jocelyn getting caught in the crossfire? Because Sidwell is not going to miss. Sidwell is a trained, cold-blooded killer. I am sitting here analyzing Jason's psychology because I have been watching this man for years. Jason will always choose the path that keeps Carly's kids safe. Remember when he took the fall for Cullum's shooting just to protect Rocco? He didn't even hesitate. He threw away his own freedom for Dante and Lulu's kid. So you better believe he will take a bullet for Jocelyn. I am terrified that next week's episode is going to start with Jason taking a shot to the chest. I mean, yes, Lucas survived 2 to the chest because he had a vest on. But Jason just broke out of a WSB black site. He is probably wearing a plain black t-shirt. He does not have a vest. I am stressing out, and let's talk about the massive, town-wide ramifications of this shootout. because Jason breaking into Windermere and engaging in a massive gunfight means his cover is completely blown. His identity is exposed. The authorities now know that Jason is not sitting quietly in a WSB cell. He is loose in Port Charles. Dante is going to find out. Anna is going to find out. The PCPD is going to be swarming Spoon Island. Jason just painted a massive target on his own back to save Jocelyn. He traded his own safety for hers. And speaking of Dante, how is he going to react to this? Dante and Lulu are currently frantic, trying to track down Rocco and Britt in Tortola. Dante has been carrying the guilt of Jason taking the fall for his son. When Dante finds out that Jason not only broke out, but also exposed himself to the entire police force just to save Carly's daughter, it is going to wreck him. Dante is a cop, but he is also family. Is he going to be forced to hunt Jason down? Is Justine Turner going to demand Chase arrest Jason the second he steps foot off Spoon Island? The legal ramifications are going to be a nightmare. Justine is already breathing down Curtis Ashford's neck with those felony charges over the Isaiah fight, so you know she is going to want Jason's head on a silver platter to make a name for herself. I can't even imagine what Carly is going to do when she finds out about this. Carly has been running around town threatening Jack Brennan, begging Valentine to go to Geneva to find Z, doing absolutely everything in her power to save her daughter. And all along, it was Jason who was going to come through. It is always Jason. The soulmate connection between Carly and Jason is just undeniable, and I don't care what anyone says. When Carly finds out that Jason broke out of federal custody and risked his life in a shootout against Sidwell and Cullum to save Jocelyn, she is going to lose her mind. The emotional reunion we are going to get is going to feed families for months. I am so here for it. And let's be real about Carly's current situation. She is at home, probably pacing holes into her floorboards, listening to Valentine Cassadine talk about his grand gestures and his trip to Geneva. Valentine is trying so hard to be the hero here, insisting he's moved on from Anna Devane and wants to prove his love to Carly. But Valentine is playing a political game with the WSB and Z. Jason doesn't play politics. Jason plays with bullets and loyalty. When Carly realizes that while Valentine was flying on a private jet to Geneva, Jason was literally bleeding in a Windermere basement for her daughter, it's game over for Valentine. Carly's heart has always belonged to the mob enforcer, who puts her family above his own life. I know some people are loving this whole Valentine and Carly romance right now, but personally, this Windermere rescue just proves that nobody will ever step up for Carly's family the way Jason does. Valentine is off in Geneva playing spy games, which is fine, but Jason is in the muddy trenches, dodging bullets in the dark. That is the difference. And I know the fans on the forums are divided right now. Some people are saying Jason's escape is unrealistic because the WSB should have better security. To those people I say, have you ever watched a soap opera? The WSB is basically made of Swiss cheese. Of course Jason escaped. He is the main character of this universe. Stop complaining and enjoy the action. Wait, I need to circle back to Ross Cullum for a second, because I am not done being mad at him. Cullum has been so smug this entire time. He dragged Obrecht down there like a sack of potatoes. He tormented Jocelyn. He has been acting like he is the king of Spoon Island. Seeing Jason take down his men and completely ruin his extraction plan was the most satisfying piece of television I have watched all year. Cullum thought he had all the angles covered. He never calculated for a rogue Jason. Nobody ever calculates for Jason. That is why they always lose. Can we also just take a moment to appreciate the poetic justice of this all happening in the Windermere sub-basement? This is the exact same dungeon where Anna Devane was held captive. Jocelyn literally found Anna's message on the wall and used the makeshift shivs she left behind. The Cassadine property has always been a house of horrors, but seeing Jason tear through it like a wrecking ball is just so satisfying. The history of that island is soaked in blood and kidnappings, and Cullum thought he could just use it as his own personal playground. He thought he could just stash Carly's daughter and Britt's mother down there and nobody would ever find them. He vastly underestimated the lengths the people of Port Charles will go to for their family. Jason didn't just break into a basement, he broke into a fortress of nightmares and brought the light with him. It is brilliant writing. I know I complain about the pacing sometimes, but when this show hits, it hits.